The Peñafrancia is a home. That's why the word Ina is a word of endearment that finds home in the hearts of people.
That home is a mother, and that mother is the mother of God. Like a mother, she takes care of her children, all of us. And like children, we love her as a mother.
The Peñafrancia devotion is the local face of Mary to the Bicolanos, which they can touch, they can feel, they can sing about. So during vulnerabilities, they would want to find anchor in a home, not only the physical home, but the spiritual home. It sinks deeply in their hearts, and therefore it is a devotion that connects with the people.
Here am I, the servant of the Lord. Let it be with me according to your word. Then the angel departed from her.
For a fuller understanding of the Peñafrancia devotion is intertwined with the culture of the people, how they celebrate things, what is their mind frame, and what is its implication in their life. For the Bicolanos, Peñafrancia is what we breathe, what we eat, because even in our elementary and high school days, I remember that was part of the annual routine of life. And it is a story that is shared by everybody. And so it's part of our system.
Bendition ng kami Diyos sa mga kamhan, ang Ama, Sinanasi, at Espiritu Santo. Nakaw ka mo at iniharubay ang Ebanghelyo. Salamat sa Diyos. Viva la Virgen! Viva el Rostro! Palakpakan niya ito at pasalamatan niya ito sa itong kagulangan na dinadala natin po yan. Salamat po sa inyo po.
Bicol is 6 provinces with a specific language, but the unifying, I believe, is the Peñafrancia devotion. And from a religious perspective, I think it's the only regional fiesta celebrated by 6 provinces.
When it comes to Peñafrancia, here in Bicol, there's no politics here. They always emphasize, you forget everything here. You are just a devotee of Our Lady. No politics, nationality, no color, no rich or poor, nothing. You will see very rich people in that procession walking with the ordinary workers.
A memory of the devotion is passed on from generation to generation because we have imbibed the personal religious practices, testimonies in the family. For instance, in our family, there was a time that we were about 8 imperial priests. And so, in Bicol, a priest would always have another priest relative. From a historical educational perspective, the seminary played a role, especially at the end of the Spanish time. I believe it was only in Bicol wherein the revolution did not take an anti-clerical slant, because the priests played a very crucial role, a unifying leadership role, and most of the elite were products of the seminary.
It all started way back in 1434, somewhere in Castañar, Spain. There was a man who entered the monastery where he was a brother or some kind of a helper by the name of Simon. And he was hearing inspirations or sounds telling him that he should look for the image of Peñafrancia. Not knowing where Peñafrancia was, he went to France, was looking for the image there. There was no Peñafrancia there, and they did not know where it was. So he went shopping. Two ladies, somewhat quarreling about charcoal. One was saying, my charcoal is better than your charcoal because it comes from Peñafrancia. So he heard the name Peñafrancia, and he followed the woman. And he finally explained that he was looking for Peñafrancia. And so he found a mountain, Rocky Mountain. Why was it called Peñafrancia? Because during the fight between the French soldiers and the Moors, the French soldiers took their stand in that place. 200 years past where they were fighting the Moors. And maybe that was the time when they were destroying churches and people were burying their images. So it was then he found this cave. It seems that there was something in that cave, and so he decided to dig. And so he went out to look for some helpers. And he found five men who were all had defects, some defects in their bodies. And I have the record. No? This is official deposition of 5 people that attest that upon touching, kissing, and embracing the image, they were instantly cured. So these were the 5 men, the first ones to touch that image. And so it spread in Spain. Now we'll go to the Philippines. How did it come to the Philippines? Now this was something in 1710 that a family by the name of De Covarrubias came to the Philippines. And they had a son by the name of Miguel who wanted to be a priest. So he wanted to enter the seminary. So what he did was he had a picture of Our Lady. Wherever he felt pain, he would put that picture on the pain and it would be cured. And so he made a promise. Our Lady, if I get well and become a priest, I'm going to spread your devotion here in the Philippines. So make a long story short, he was nearly becoming a priest. And he was planning to start the devotion in Pasig. But at that time, the bishop here in Naga called him, Bishop Gonzales, said, you become a priest here now. I'm going to ordain you here. I need someone to help me. And he came over and was ordained here. About the same time, the Cimarrones, called the mountain people, because they did not register to the Spaniards, asking the bishop for someone to evangelize them, tell them about Christianity. And so the bishop asked Father Miguel to go and evangelize the people. Then it came to a time when they were going to build a nipa and bamboo little chapel by the river. When they had a chapel, they had no image. So he remembered that stampita that he had. They made an image, wooden image of Our Lady. The time came when they were going to paint it. So they killed a dog, tied the dog and killed it. That the priest said, may Our Lady show mercy to this dog, gave his life for her. Our usual habit of throwing dead animals into the river, all tied, this was seen and documented by many, that started swimming back to the house of the owner. So in Spain, it started with 5 men. Here it started with a dog. And that was the time when the devotion started. Started answered prayers, they got miracles and all that. No?
We are witnesses to different festivals throughout the country. But the Peñafrancia as a religious, cultural celebration really runs deeper kasi it touches on the element of faith. Though it has connectivity as a value, it has vulnerabilities. So the Virgin is a healing Virgin. So during times of vulnerability, they would run to the Peñafrancia. It's more intense. No? But again, it is open to fanaticism, superstition, and it can even be, as you may have observed, highly sentimental. When a person is at the point of vulnerability, sickness, big problems, no, hope is the last line of defense. It is only hope that gives meaning, dimension to all even sufferings and pains. And hope itself can already be a grace of God. And the moving forward element should be there, how it transforms and changes our lives. And that is why the promesa, commitment, every year they would come here. It is an echo of their personal experience.
The crowds became bigger and bigger, and so they decided to bring it to the bigger church, the cathedral. And that is why we have the translation, to transfer the image of the Peñafrancia to the cathedral, to begin the novena and bring her back by the river, and that is the fluvial procession.
The Peñafrancia is also a pilgrim virgin. Many Bicolanos who are uprooted, either in foreign lands, etc., they would want to recall memories of the Peñafrancia. And therefore, the Peñafrancia gives them a sense of identity, a sense of meaning and purpose, so that they make it a point to really celebrate even outside Bicol or even in foreign countries.
Every Saturday afternoon, we have a healing mass. After the healing mass, we have the procession. After the procession, we have a healing prayer for everyone, where we use the mantle of Our Lady to cover them as we pray for them. And we have many answered prayers already.
Actually, there are several answered prayers, especially during when my mother has a cancer in breast cancer. Then I invite her to go in Naga, and he always visit the Blessed Mother in the Ina. Actually, her life had been extended, mga 5 years. So, sabi ko sa mother ko, yun, mag-visit ka parate. So, at least na-extend yung niya for another 5 years.
Yeah, definitely there is a pronounced change. Yung mga young people are, sabihin na natin, they need a lot of deepening. Kasi iba naman yung experience of the older generation. So young people, they have their priorities, they have their own set of meanings, they have their own way of doing things, way of thinking. But still the Peñafrancia is there. So the challenge is how to ingrain a much deeper understanding. Before, the procession was not as unruly as it is now. Before, kasi the translation and the fluvial are the two focal points of the devotion. And if one would look at it from a meaning dimension, the translation is the road procession, and it is characterized by pushing and I look at it as the dynamics of today's world, where it is a survival world. And then, when it goes into the river, it is more serene. It's not a peaceful journey, but a safe arrival. And it is a coming home in the Basilica of Our Lady of our Ina, who is the Mother for all times.